Hello, and welcome to the No Matter What Club podcast. On today's episode, we are so excited. Christina Simos is here. She's the Chief Executive Officer of Friendly House here in Los Angeles. In June of 2005, Christina entered the Friendly House as a resident. There, she was mentored by Friendly House's former executive director, Peggy Albright, and quickly immersed herself in the recovery world. For almost 2 decades, Christina has had various volunteer positions at Friendly House as well as the local recovery community. After gaining valuable experience working in treatment throughout the years, Christina returned home to the Friendly House in April of 2021 to take on the role as Admissions and Business Development Manager. In January of 2022, she became the 4th Executive Director, and in 2025 became the CEO of Friendly House. She is one of the few women of culture to hold an executive level position in the treatment industry. Please help me welcome Christina to the podcast. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the No Matter What Club. I am so excited. We've been talking about this episode for a hot minute. We're so excited and thrilled to have our guests. So first, we'll introduce Mell, Executive Director at No Matter What Recovery,
Hello.
My beautiful blonde husband over there, Anthony Arranaga-Grayson, and then our dear friend and colleague, more friend, the one and the only Christina Simos with Friendly House.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm really excited to be here.
Welcome to the pod.
Yes.
We've been talking about this for a few weeks, trying to figure out like what we were gonna bring to the table and what we were gonna talk about, and we are so excited because this episode is airing on Juneteenth, in the middle of Pride Month. You know, we have so much to celebrate.
Happy Free-ish Day.
Right.
Actually, you know,
Yeah.
Christina, what is Juneteenth? What does it mean to you?
I mean, Juneteenth was the day in Galveston, Texas, that the last hurrah for enslaved people, that like it officially ended. They showed up and they said, "Hey, by the way, you guys have been free for a minute, but now you're like free."
Oh, wow.
And then that free-ish period has been followed by numerous attempts to unfree us, but you know, we can talk about that later. But yeah, so it's supposed to be a celebration of freedom.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And how timely for it to fall for us as queer people and as you as a queer
Yes.
person of color, like to
Yes.
fall during Pride Month.
Right.
Yes, it has been, you know, particularly this year, it just feels like a reflective period and a call to action. You know, there's so many things that are going on that are trying to basically erase and erode us, that it seems that the celebrations, especially during June, is even more important.
Yeah. How do you feel about Pride Month and the celebrations?
I mean, it's bittersweet, right? Because this is one of my favorite times a year where I get, you know, to celebrate and to be proud, right? And to be out and to be in community and be in connection. But there's definitely like this bittersweet tone to it where the things I used to celebrate are slowly being dismantled and they're slowly being taken away. And so the celebration seems to wane a little bit, but the call to action has increased. I mean, just for me personally and professionally, it's like, oh, I need to do more rather than just attend my normal celebratory Pride in the Park type of situations and, you know, beads off a float. It's so much more than that and so much more important, I think, this year than it's ever been, actually.
And it started as a protest, right? Pride itself.
Pride has its roots in protest.
So we're back to square one again.
Back to
right,
basics.
here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah.
But I think we're all ready for it, right? Like, I mean, I think that's the call to action after, you know, a certain event back in November. And I know I'm here for it, and I know a lot of people are here for it. And I think there's going to be a lot of, taking pride in who we are and remembering who we are and where we came from and where we've been, right? As a culture and as a community. And, but also there's a little bit of a fight that I think we're going to be seeing in June.
Did anybody else have this like gut-wrenching feeling at the beginning of again, the one we will not name, when he was, saying that the holidays that we celebrated as holidays were no longer holidays, and it was like a double whammy. It was like Pride and Juneteenth.
Let's get rid of Juneteenth, Black History, Women's History, LGBTQ. Like, let's just get rid of us.
Right.
And I think for me, this month in particular is the call to action is to actually practice joy. Because that, love and joy are acts of resistance. And, the one thing that I've also felt more so than any other time is, I've been around for a minute. I'm turning and repeat. Yeah, I don't give a shit. Can I cuss? Sorry.
Yeah.
I just did. Okay. I've lived on this earth for 50 years plus. And so, I didn't understand when we look at the civil rights movement, when I looked ancestrally, like I could not understand why the singing, why why all of these and now I get it more so than ever, because what they want to do is break our spirit.
Right.
What they want to do is disenfranchise us. What they want to do is make us feel like we are not worth anything. And so when we practice these moments of joy and when we share our love with each other, that is the resistance of it, because you cannot, like Beyonce said, you can't break my soul. Right? And so that's particularly what I've been focusing on in the last few months after I took a break to just kind of do some inner work, because I wanted to take my toys and go all the way out of this country. Like,
same. I'm like, put me on an island. Great. I'll sell coconuts by the sea.
I was like, I cannot do this again. But I really get it now that we have to, as a community, come together. And, we kind of talked about this a little bit before of just, we are faced with divisiveness in our own community and learning how to be in collaboration instead of othering each other like that. Like this is where I think the rubber meets the road, and we have to really look at each other and how are we connecting and how are we building and resourcing within each other, so that when this other stuff is coming and we have to pick up the signs and walk the streets and call our people that we're ready.
That's one of my, off topic, one of my favorite sayings in the whole world is that's where the rubber meets the road. For a procrastinator like me, it's like whenever I hear that, I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, no, it is.
But it's also a big month for you because somebody's celebrating 20 years sober.
Oh, hey.
It's insane to think the way, oh my gosh, I created so much chaos in a short amount of time. And to know now that I definitely have been sober longer than I was out there killing myself is pretty remarkable. I couldn't put together 3 minutes, 3 hours, 3 days, and now to put together 20 years, it's just it's baffling. Like it's but I did it in community. Right. I always wanted to be a part of something. I always wanted to have a feeling of belongingness, and when I got sober here in West Hollywood, and this is where I was raised, and that community, that love, even when I just was obnoxious, angry, obnoxious, and because mostly it was fear that you were going to reject me. So I was always doing things to maybe get you to be like, see, I told you. You guys really aren't the things that you say you are. You don't really care. You don't really
lighting little fires everywhere.
Yeah,
just
I'm
checking
this,
in.
I'm
Yeah.
this, and to see how far that I've been able to come is pretty remarkable. It's a real true testament to the program, to the people in the program, and to Peggy Albrecht, who, you know, is a mentor, you know, one of the first.
And she founded Friendly House, right?
She was the second executive director. B. Jorgensen founded Friendly House in 1951. So for 74 years, we've been on the front lines, helping women.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and
that includes all women.
yes, women of all gender experiences since I've come on board.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing.
My non-binary siblings, and you know, B. Jorgensen was there for 34 years until she passed, and then Peggy was only supposed to be there for 6 months while they found somebody else. And you know, when she passed 33 years later, there was an interim executive director who had also spent 14 years, you know, as a coming up and helping Peggy. And then I came in 2021. I returned home to do admissions and business development, and then in 2022 I became like the 4th executive director, who's now a CEO.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I do more than just. I'm just saying.
You know,
So, yeah.
there's a lot of power in that. And one of the things that you had just talked about was community. Tony, what does community mean to you?
Community means to me, is this like just off the top of my head, or I thought you were referring to something that I've said before. Community means to me just being able to identify with a group of people and feeling safe within that space. I think that's
When I think of pride, I think of community.
Yeah.
Like you know, and that's why I wanted to ask that question, because I know that like how much importance you and I place on community and our chosen family and
Chosen family. That part. Like when I hear community, that's what resonates with me the most. And it's like, those are the people that carry me. Those are the people that, not only that carry me through the hard times, but through the good times.
Yeah.
Because I think those type of relationships are the ones that I'm trying to grow, are not only the people that I call when I'm having bad days, but they're the ones that I can call when I'm having fucking awesome days. And I want to share that joy as well. Like, and I'm not fearing they're going to judge me or be jealous. They're going to celebrate. And community is celebrating the wins as much as it is celebrating the losses. And when I think about it, that's what comes up.
And the thing that I love, where I think our missions align with No Matter What in Friendly House, is we're both, you know, first and foremost, I think, community-based organizations, you know, and so you know, when we align professionally, that's one of the things that I really love about our organizations is that, like, you know, when I was out there using and drinking, I just wanted to be loved. I just wanted friendship. I just wanted people to see me and hear me. And I know this is something that you've brought to the organization that you oversee, and that's something that Tony and I is at the forefront and pillar of what we offer at No Matter What is community and chosen family, right?
Well, I think it's so important too when, you know, when people ask me, besides what does No Matter What recovery offer? And of course, the specialties that we have, like the chemsex and love and sex addiction and, you know, trauma to a certain extent too. But one of the things that I latch on to the most is the community that exists within No Matter What recovery, whether it's because they're all LGBTQ or because we have 3 sober livings next to each other right next door. So it creates this like big sober commune of sorts. You know, they're able to find fellowship and find connection in such a meaningful way. And I think that we really see that a lot in our community. And I'm sure you probably see that at Friendly House too.
Yes, and I mean we're 12-step based as well, and I think
How did I not know that?
honey, that was the staple. Get a sponsor, work the steps, make your damn bed, you know, and ask somebody how they're doing. You know, it was just like the basic.
Look outside of you. Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, so I was also a resident in Friendly House, and
20 years ago.
20 years ago, and I walked through that, you know, I walked through those doors, and We did two book studies a day. Like we do a 12 and 12, and then we do the big book, and then we go to a meeting in the evening. We'd make dinner, we'd sit down, and then we learned how to do a 10-step, and those were the things. But the I think the number one thing that you cannot put a value on is the sense of community. Yeah. I know you guys have a meeting, we have a meeting, and every Thursday the folks get together. We just started our dinner, so we have dinner at 5:30, and that's open for the community. And then we have our AA meeting, and that happens every single week. And so the alumni get to come back, community members get to see like what we're about, and there is just this connection, which I think we're all seeking, right? I just want to love and be loved. Like at the end of the day, that is the base, that is the foundation that we all build upon. And the community piece in the 12-step like ideals are the things that are our basic building blocks.
One of the things that I adore about you.
No.
I'll tell
It's
you.
my hair.
Your hair. Yeah. You walk the walk and you talk the talk.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
when we're working in this field, we see some people that are in the industry to be in the industry, and then we see people that are of service in their communities in addition to professionally. And for me, it means so much. It's like, you and I have done a lot of service together, and through the shows and through all of that stuff. And like, just because we clock out of work doesn't mean we clock out of our sobriety. And
Right.
and that's one of the things that I really value.
And those are leading principles that, I love that I can say that I feel like everyone in this chair right now tries to practice to the best of their ability, and those show up everywhere. They show up in work, they show up in friendship, they show up in relationship. And I too, I look for that and I admire that, and I'm pulled. I have a gravitational pull towards integrity, right? And walking through that and showing other people. That's a lead by example.
That's the key. And I wouldn't be where I'm at if somebody hadn't have sat down and said blah blah blah. Like if Peggy hadn't taken the time and said, Christina, have a seat, and really just spoke to me and with me. I have been disrupting the status quo probably for as long as I can remember. I grew up in a time in the 70s where, my father did 2 tours in Vietnam, came home with a horrible drug and alcohol habit, no help at all, PTSD. My mom was one of 9 children, spent time in a Catholic orphanage. Like there was a lot of generational trauma, and not understanding, I knew that there was something not right, and I desperately wanted to fix it because I knew that the people that I was looking at were hurting, but I just couldn't figure out how to help them, which is why I think that it's so important to speak. Like if somebody had just shared with me that I was not broken, that I was living in a broken system, and if somebody had just shared with me that I was worth it, I think that my life would have been different. And working in this industry, I feel like there's 2 almost opposing, I don't know if it's viewpoints or whatever, but there's people that operate from a lack of abundance, scarcity, that think that in order for me to win, you have to lose. That I have to keep everything here because you'll get it, and then I won't have what I need, and that is the patriarchal systemic bullshit that keeps us divided. I prefer let's share resources, let's collaborate, let's figure out what is it that we need, because at the end of the day, like the whole point of what we do is to help somebody find recovery, to help somebody change their life, right? I don't give a shit if it's coming from you, or you. If we are helping somebody change their life, then that is like, that's it.
That's the vision.
That is it, right? So what does that look like? And a lot of it has to do with transparency. I mean, again, working in this industry, I can count how many people look like me in the positions that I'm in.
That was one of the things I was going to say when you talked about being CEO, and I didn't want to speak out of turn, but like as a woman of color who has 20 years sober, who identifies as part of the queer community and is in an executive position, I'm going to get emotional thinking about it, because I just by being visible in that, I think you're helping people get hope.
Yeah. I mean, every time I show up in my most authentic place, I move the needle, right? And I've definitely had my fair share of pushback. You know, nobody wanted to talk about why being, you know, for me, it's like I'm pansexual and I'm married to a man. So those things don't seem to fit in certain, you know, it's like, well, I mean, do you know, it's like all these different things. It's like, why can't we just be the rainbow, the spectrum, and have the same type of respect and togetherness, you know, and also just being in the, you know, being a woman in this industry, especially like I'm from Queens, okay, Baisley Park projects, I clean up well, but there is this thought that somehow because of where I come from, that I won't have the intelligence or the capabilities or the capacity to lead, you know, and
That's so interesting to me, because I think in a system like that, it actually sets you up more with everything you need to do to lead. So like that idea, I mean, Lord knows who sold us that idea and when it first took place, but like it's almost like these social systems and like breaking that pattern and jumping out of a social system or a social idea about who you are as a person and what you're equipped with. I mean, I trust the people that have had the struggle, that have had the suffering, that know how to engage resilience, that know how to engage autonomy. Like all of those things are qualities of leadership, but it's frowned upon.
because I challenge your belief systems. So if you've grown up thinking that A plus B, you know, equals C, and now you see me, and
Hey,
you know, it's
I'm
like
over here at
you
D
know,
and F.
yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it forces you to look at, where did I get these stories from? How did I come to this conclusion that, you know, a person of color is incapable and able, you know, that somehow being who we are is wrong or like,
disqualifying or like any of those notions.
Yeah.
I think about even like the gender construct, right? Oh, well, then we have to look at what? Patriarchy, colonialism, sexism, like all of those aspects that no one wants to look at. So let's focus it right here on gender being a binary thing, because if we opened it up, that would mean so much for so many social systems of oppression. And I'm not.
yeah.
I think besides challenging the system, like you mentioned, I think there's one other element that you touched on a few minutes ago, and that is the concept of, you know, when all ships rise, right? And when you are helping someone else in your position, using your power, prestige, fame, whatever, to help someone else and lift someone else up in that moment and maybe let them take the spotlight. That for me is leadership. Like letting, you know, giving somebody else the tools, empowering somebody, mentoring somebody, you know, and that for me, that's where I find like real leadership. That's where I love to thrive, you know, in my own world, in my own life, is helping someone else, whether it's recovery or professionally or whatever. So
It's one of the things that I love the most about you.
A great leader will trigger the leader in you.
We're happy.
You know? Yeah.
You know, everyone in this room, when you talk, I listen. There are people that I, have conversations with that I'm like in another, like, looking around and be like, oh, there's, the sky's blue or whatever. But like the people that are in this room and in this conversation, I listen when you speak, and one of the things that I struggle with, and I think I've had this conversation with everybody in this room, is imposter syndrome. I know that you and I have had it because I was a blubbering mess when you and I had this conversation. But for a drug addict like me to be co-owning a treatment center with my husband, I had a 9th grade education until I just graduated college a few weeks ago, and with behavioral health with an emphasis on trauma, and the cards were stacked against me, kind of like you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like, been on the street since I was 16, begging for change because I was kicked out of my family's house for being gay, to now co-owning a program where we're changing lives. And I sit in rooms with CEOs in suits that are educated sometimes, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing here?
It's all bullshit.
It is.
It's my
That's
disease.
the system they want you.
Do you know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's, but it's, and that's why I specifically just, when we've had our meetings, it's just like, listen, we are new leadership, and we are now in a position to not only learn from each other, but to kind of shift the way things are done. And that requires authenticity, it requires conversations, it requires courage, and it requires like faith, and those things are, to me, like, that's like, again, when we talk about bedrock, right? I'm talking about what are the things that we have to do to not only move on a micro level, but a macro level, right?
I think for me, it's also admitting when I fuck up and being able to make a call and say, hey, I could have handled that differently.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
Which is program.
And it's crazy because like everything that we do in our business is rooted in recovery, and Tony and I remember when No Matter What was just an idea, and we sat down. And one of the things that him and I promised each other is we would never put profits over people, ever. Ever. I mean, and I think that is why we've been able to create this community like we have, is because we've always put, people first.
That's right. Our business is in human lives.
It's a business of people's lives.
Yes. And like, I am invested in people's lives. Like, that is the original, like, mission statement. I care about your life. I want to see you. I want to hear you. And I want to walk beside you. Not pull you along, not push you along, but like, I'm going to meet you where you're at, and we're going to walk through this together. And even if there are things that I don't know how to navigate, I'm going to find out how. And I'm going to be a person that's going to help you find out how. But that's a demonstration, right? That's not a drag you along. This is like, okay, we don't know an answer. I can say, I don't know, but let's find out together. And I think a lot of times people come from this place of like coming up with an answer. I see this a lot.
Yeah.
And not actually being curious about the question that was being asked. So I see that in the foundational tools that lead us, right, towards whatever help, service, program is in front of us.
And it's so funny because there are days where I'm not feeling spiritual.
Try the last 6
But what if
months.
that is spirituality in itself? Like, I don't know. And like what we're seeing right now, it's like, oh, where are your distress tolerance skills? Where are your coping skills? Like, you're really activated about all the things. And I'm like, I should be.
Yeah.
I should be activated. And I have a system that's saying, oh, it's wrong that you have upset The human rights are being removed day by day by day. And it's like, ground yourself, regulate yourself. I don't know. I'm encouraging a little more dysregulation around what's happening, not regulation.
I think
So.
outrage is valid.
100%.
And, you know, some of the things that I've been talking about lately, because like after the election, I got to tell you, like I retreated because I just felt I felt betrayed. I felt like all the work that I had done with other folks to try and make this world better were
Yeah.
just thrown to the side. And so I retreated. And then, and I got to tell you, like, I really struggled with depression. I have not, there was a point where my tagline was like, if I didn't wake up, I'd be so cool. I just I just don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And thankfully, again, I do have some outside help, but I started to feel better, and I was like, oh man, because then I started with my mouth. I'm like, that's not right. Why are we doing that? Why don't you have outrage? I got into it with somebody who hold on, let me just see, how do I say this? Anyway, there's different ideals that I have
Beep, beep.
We're practicing the principles.
with somebody's ideology, somebody who thought that conversion therapy was a good thing, and wanted certain people erased off the planet, and I uninvited them to Friendly House.
Bye.
And people, there were some people that were like, well, that's not very 12-step of you, and
I think it's very 12.
Me too. That's how I'm like.
And I was like, so this sacred space that I've spent years curating, that's meant for women of all gender experiences, and as a leader, at a certain point, we have to figure out, what am I standing for? Who am I standing with? And those things need to be like that, and for me to allow somebody to be in that space when I employ, women of all gender experiences. It didn't make sense, but so for me, the piece where I was in conflict was, I have an outrage about what's happening. The politics, people are like, politics should be separate. They're not separate anymore.
They're not.
They're bleeding into every aspect of our lives. Our nonprofit can't get funding. My best friend, who's Mexican, went to Mexico. I was terrified that she wouldn't come back. There are people that are losing their jobs, their livelihoods. We had to talk about whether I could have DEI on my website because
Of a nonprofit status.
Of a nonprofit treatment center.
Do you know what I'm saying?
You are Miss DEI.
So do you know what I'm saying? It's like so sometimes the book talks about we cease fighting any and all things, but I think in certain places I think that's good, but I also think that if we don't take a stand, like somebody said, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. I think that was
stand for.
Yeah. That there's an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. The outrage piece gets me into action.
Same. That's spiritual anchor.
You know?
That's motivating. Like, I want to use that momentum towards things that, I say they're meaningful to me, but like human rights are and should be meaningful to everyone.
Yeah.
And it's sad that they are not.
I think I'm still experiencing the stages of grief, where it's like bargaining, anger, sadness, and I'm feeling all of these emotions with everything that's happening. But for me, I'm not the brightest politically, right? Like I don't claim to be. I just know what human decency is.
That's right.
And I don't see it in the media. And I called Tony the other day, and I was like, I'm fucked up in the head, right? Like, I was doom scrolling, and I don't usually allow myself to do it, but like I just got caught in this like cycle, and I was like watching these videos, and I was like angry.
We have to understand what this system is, and it's not meant for us.
No.
It's not meant for us.
Mm-mm.
And so that is it's like once you get into acceptance that this system was created without us in its picture,
we were not in the blueprint.
then we can figure out how to navigate it, and that's where, to me, the love and joy comes in. That's where the resourcing, with each other comes in. That's where we have to be vocal wherever we can be vocal, to whatever extent that looks like, even if it's just showing up, doing what we're doing now, doing what we do every day at work. I see you, you are valued, you are heard, and you matter.
Right.
Like, those are the things that create an opportunity for change. I feel like this system, because it didn't break in the 60s with the civil rights movement, they kept rebuilding it in different ways.
Sure
So
did.
maybe the system itself has to break completely, which it looks like it is, in order for it to be rebuilt, that maybe will include us in the blueprint instead of having us on the outside looking in.
Yeah.
I think adding to the complexity of how we're feeling too is that the breakneck speed that all this is happening within the first 90 days of someone taking office, right? And it's things are happening so fast, and the consequences, some we're seeing, some we're not, but it leaves many people like us feeling, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to us, right? Whether it's reversing a law that allows people to be married or whatever it might be, or reversing a ruling, I should say, not a law, but I think it leaves us wondering, where do we stand here? And so I think that makes, I'm
Together.
agreeing with everything. Yeah, right. Together. And that's what Pride is for in June, right? We're going to have a chance to stand together. We're going to have a chance Juneteenth to reflect on where we've been as a country, right? And we have to coalesce around these dates in June, a very important time of the year for all of us and the people who love us too, right? Because we need their support right now more than ever.
I was actually going to say that allies are part of the queer community to me. And we allies are so important, I think, to us right now, because they're out there fighting the good fight with us too. And so I value our allies, family and brothers and sisters. And, yes, us as queer people are out here doing, what we need to be doing. But like, I don't know.
Movements have been successful when we are all together,
Right.
all of us. The civil rights movement wasn't just Black people marching; it was everybody marching.
Everybody.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you think about Stonewall, it was a coalition of people that were just like, "I'm done."
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is it. Yeah.
And so so when I look at the micro, we have to do our own work to get rid of these things that have kept us feeling apart from or not a part of. And then there has to be a genuine appeal to each other on how can we work together. Because when we start building that coalition and we get strong, then it's not like on your shoulders or your shoulders or on your it's on all of us.
Collective.
And so it is much easier to move just like they are moving in a group, to move in a group versus feeling isolated and alone.
Right.
Do
And
you
like
feel like social media is
Bullshit.
yes,
that be?
but
Sorry,
like
it's bullshit.
the one thing that I feel like the Civil War didn't have, and all of these other things, like we have a whole nother kind of like element to it here with like technology.
Channel
well,
of
it's
broadcasting.
accelerating everything,
Yeah.
right? And this is the goal, right? Shock and awe, knock you over the head so you're seeing stars so you can't get together and strategize. But so like having a couple of trusted news sources, I think, is so important. But like latching on to every atrocity that's happening is going to keep you in a state of feeling dazed and confused. And then you're not going to be able to make calls to create strategies to actually address the issue because you're so in like the overwhelm and floodedness of everything that's so sensationalized and shocking, right? Because that does something for our nervous systems, and this is all intentional. So we don't come together and have conversations like this, right? Because we're just sitting in the fog of it all.
When we're talking about shock value, there are two blondes that I will not name that are like a train wreck that I cannot look away from, and they infuriate me on social media. And it is this like fucking better than now kind of just like bullshit talk. And I don't know. You know, I'm sitting here, you know, when I need a good giggle or I need to feel good, I'll turn on like Jasmine Crockett on YouTube. Like
love
I
her
just,
so
I live
much.
for her. She's
I
out there doing the,
live for her.
like, and, you know, she has just got me cackling. And that's what I do in my, when I doom scroll.
But like digital spaces are actually really helpful
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
It's not just this onslaught. It can be a place and a space for us to connect to people I wouldn't have had access to someone in North Dakota, to someone, you know, in the South that I would have never had access to, even this podcast.
Yeah.
This is giving people access to conversations maybe they're not hearing, or maybe is not showing up in their algorithm or not on their feed constantly. So I think that there is a way to position those who are in strategy to use these as a resource and not let them continuously be weaponized, but strategize, you know?
One of the, if I was new right now, like if I didn't have like some solid sobriety under my belt, I don't know where I would be mentally. And so I think one of the things that I want to talk about is like, are you seeing in Friendly House, like people that are more affected by this, like navigating new sobriety and then all of this? And
Yes, not only the clients that are coming in, but our staff as well.
yeah.
Right.
So we have been looking at ways to resource each other. But there is definitely an uptick, you know, I mean, the mental health acuity has hello, 12 p.m. The mental health acuity has definitely, it used to be like substance use, mental health. We'll do what this person did. Now it's like, it feels like this is here because there's so much stuff going on right now. And that's why I highly suggest do not doom scroll. Like, but also just like look at the source. I got a degree in journalism before I went off and decided that
That's so crazy. So does he.
drinking and use.
Wait, you went to ASU, right?
Yeah.
That's where he went.
Oh, you did? I went to
I
U of A.
did.
Oh, U of A.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. No, just kidding. Send devil.
No, ASU's got great journalism.
Yeah. No, yeah, the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. You know, and it was, for me, I always look at the source. And now not only do you have to look at the source, but you have to look at who owns this source.
That's right.
Because who owns this source is who determines what the content is and unfortunately you cannot believe even some of these trusted news sources because they have been
Bought.
yeah. And there's an agenda that goes behind all of these things. So I always tell people, it's like, where'd you get that information? How do you know that? Like what is your source? And then, I Googled it. I'm like, really? Sorry that doesn't work anymore. You know, we have to do more to find the truth, unfortunately.
And I also like to formulate my own opinions about things, which is why my sister and I talk about this all the time. Was that a sneeze?
That
Bless
was
you.
a sneeze.
Bless
Thank
you.
you.
Bless you.
Sorry.
To hear both sides, right? Because you always want to hear what the other side is saying so that you can formulate an opinion and also question what you're hearing from either side, right? Because we should be questioning right now.
We should.
Especially right now, we should be questioning everything that we hear. Not in a paranoia sort of way, but like, we just need to like really take a certain lens to things that are before our eyes that we're reading or that we're seeing or that we're watching.
I think what this is also returning us to is how does this,
Right.
what is my gut saying? What is my gut saying? Like,
We're being
Where are
taught
my
to
own values
mistrust
in
that,
this?
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Where, what is really, how am I really feeling? And to me, that is a clear indicator of where we need to move or what needs to happen, and learning how to rely on that. It's like, I know that when you're newly sober, you can't really trust your head, but this gut instinct, this
Moral compass.
intuitive.
That's interesting. You say gut, but I see you
Touching
pointing
your
to your
heart.
heart right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your heart really saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can start to move better in those ways, right? Moving from here to here and then walking.
I mean, there's more messages sent from the heart to the brain than from the brain to the heart every single day of living, right? And like really like tuning into that is hard sometimes with all the static. But anytime I ever like need to take a pause and give space and ask myself maybe a question or a decision or a choice, my heart knows the answer before my head is even done with the question every time. And that is the guide, right? That for me, that is the spiritual guide of like, this is the direction, this is the choice. Like, no matter what this thing says, this always knows every single time. And every time I've gone against it,
It rages.
it does.
It
It
rages.
reaches, or I create chaos, or But
Spirit will tell you when
Every
things
time.
when you're not in flow, whether you want to listen to it or not. It'll
I know
tell
that part right there. Yeah, like I
And then
hear
it'll
you.
show
I'm
you.
gonna turn the volume down. You know.
And sometimes I need to wait a second to let all this kind of clear out and settle for a second to hear this.
That's right.
And that's where pause comes in a lot of times.
Yeah, it's like that
Paul always
radio
makes fun of me.
station.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
make fun of
tune
you.
in.
When we first started dating, it would drive me crazy. Because, like, I'm like, mister, I want to make a decision now. And he's like, hey, babe, let's sit on this for a second. And we'll come back to it.
It helps.
When's your
And I'd be
birthday?
like,
When's your birthday?
December 31st.
New Year's
Capricorn.
Eve,
Capricorn. Okay.
Scorpio.
Oh.
That makes
November
sense now.
17th.
Yes, and yes.
But I think that's why we've been so. It's been such a beautiful experience owning our program together, is because we have different strengths and we bring different things to the table and different, career paths that have led us here. And that's so interesting that both of you have journalism degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, it is, I want to segue into, I know we've talked a lot about Friendly House. What is Friendly House?
Friendly House has been on the front. It's the first women's program that was ever opened in the United States and probably in the country. 1951.
Wow.
So we've been
Same
around.
building.
Same house.
Wow.
Serving women for 74 years.
So amazing.
And had 4 executive directors. What is Friendly House? It is a place where women of all gender expressions can come and get recovery.
Community.
Yes, we serve women, and our non-binary siblings. And we're also a detox, a residential, an IOP, and we have a sober living. And these are things like up until 2018, we were structured sober living. That was what I had experienced. Get your ass up.
Make your bed.
We'd have book studies, go to a meeting, work the steps, but obviously as we've grown, we understood that we can no longer have people detoxing on the couch. And it's so weird because now I think about it, I'm like, oh my God, it is
Wild Wild West.
oh my God, like we had people just like lay it out on the couch. I mean, thank God nothing ever happened, but we were outsourcing everything, sending people to the Saban clinics, all this kind of stuff. And now, I really wanted to bring everything in-house. Like I want the medical and the psychiatric in-house talking to each other about this client who needs care.
Integrative care.
Yeah. And we, there's different modalities. We just added Kathleen Murphy's coming on board. She's, and I think because this program is solid, and I believe that with her at the helm, it's going to be great because you can't ignore trauma, and we've been doing our very best to address it. But she knows.
She knows.
And she gets the vision and the mission, and there's an opportunity to create something here that really can, I think, inform how we do treatment moving forward. So.
And Friendly House is a nonprofit.
A very nonprofit. A very nonprofit that could really use help.
Yeah, I mean, we just heard that they're like funding cuts coming, not only to Friendly House but to so many nonprofits that serve the under-resourced and the under-housed, and they need our help the most.
Yes.
I really see that.
Yes, and for funding, like 73 cents of every dollar that somebody donates goes to direct services.
Wow.
And so I mean that's because we run a very most of our money spent on clinical, and the rest of it we just figured out. Like we really work hard to make sure that when that client comes in that we're able to help them to the best of our ability.
I love it. So Tony, do you want to share some good news?
Yeah, so every year, No Matter What Recovery, as we know, hosts an annual Pride event. It's in June, obviously, and each year we pick a nonprofit to shine the spotlight on and to collaborate with to help raise funds for that nonprofit. And this year, it's the Friendly House.
So excited.
And the event
about
is this Saturday from 12 to 3 at No Matter What Recovery, and we're going to be raising funds for Friendly House.
Yeah. I mean, I can't begin to thank you because it has not been easy. It's been challenging. I wouldn't change a single thing, but also to be thought of, like I think of, you know what I'm saying? But just to have people recognize the work that we do and the importance of it, it means a lot. Like it really does. So thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
We're excited.
Yeah.
We're excited.
Very
It's a party.
excited.
And so,
Who's going
There's
to be
no
there?
tears here.
no, we love it.
It's going to be a celebration.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
It's
That's
going to be a
right.
celebration.
Y'all better go.
Yeah, which I'm so excited. So we're going to announce the performer who's flying in from Canada, and we did that intentionally. Kendall Gender from Canada's Drag Race will be performing her infamous Beyonce medley. And she will be the guest on next week's podcast, which we're so excited. She's sober. She comes and supports no matter what. She's flying in from Canada to come give us a show. And it's a $20 suggested donation at the door for Friendly House. And if you want to donate more, great. We'd love to have it. And we're just so excited to celebrate Pride and Juneteenth and sobriety and recovery and Friendly House and no matter what. It's just going to be a big old queer love fest, which we're so excited about.
I love that. What do you feel most proud of right now in this day?
I am so proud of the work that we do at Friendly House. The diversity, the fierce people that work with me, that show up on a daily, no matter what, to do the hard work. I'm so proud of the way that we've been able to meet Calamity with love.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we should call this episode, is Meet Calamity with Love.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Tony, what are you most proud of?
There's so much, but I think right here in this moment, it's that I've been able to build a life of sobriety, and that within that life, there's a lot of love in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't necessarily true when I was drinking and using. You know?
Yeah.
So.
Wait, can I just say one more thing? I'm really proud that I haven't ended up in jail in the last 6 months. I'm really proud of that.
Okay.
I'm
good.
proud of you for that.
Because
too.
I wanted to snatch some people, and I haven't, and I'm really proud of that.
Yes.
Anyway.
Good job.
Yes.
Mel or Paulo?
Paulo?
Personally, I'm proud that I was able to get my degree in behavioral health with an emphasis on trauma,
Yes.
and get an education, because I never saw that as being possible for myself. I am professionally proud of the program that the three of us have built, and the lives that we've, just had a small impact on. I'm proud to be walking through life and through this journey with the three of you. Yeah. And I'm just obviously proud of my beautiful husband.
Love you.
God, that's so sappy, but it's true.
Thanks, babe.
Oh.
Yeah, what are you proud of? What are you proud of?
Okay. I think personally, I'm always proud of my sobriety and all the beautiful things that it's brought into my life. But I feel like I've been on a pilgrimage of love for about the past 2.5, 3 years, where I have made this conscious effort and been very intentional to prioritize loving choices. And they don't always come with ooey gooeys. They come with hard things. They come with courageous conversations. And I had to go up against a lot, but all listening to the heart song and prioritizing what is the most loving thing that I can do in my life today. And that affects everything. It doesn't just affect one aspect of living. It affects my sobriety, my relationships, my work, all of that. So I'm really proud for sticking with it through the hard times, because that is not easy. And the hard no's, the strong yeses, like those are never easy moments, and they bring a lot of turmoil. But if it's rooted for me in what I feel is the most loving decision for everyone, not just me. So I'm really proud of staying with that. And I'm really proud of my community right now. I'm really proud of the work that we do, the relationships that we're building, the ones that we continue to foster, and hold close. And I have a lot of pride in what's here now, but also what's to come if we engage each other in big conversations without fear. So, yeah.
God, you're such a great speaker. Woo, this has been a great episode. I'm so
Amazing.
excited. Please join us at No Matter What Recovery this Saturday for our Pride event, where we're celebrating Friendly House, celebrating Pride, celebrating no matter what. We're defying the public odds of what's going on in the media right now, and we're getting together as a big old queer community, just having a big old party and celebrating
And
life.
wish Christina a happy birthday on that day.
Happy 20 years. So for more information, please check out social media at No Matter What Recovery LA. Like and subscribe to the podcast. Please, we will also post a link to, if you're not able to make it to our Pride event, to be able to support Friendly House digitally. We'd love any support that you can give. They're out there doing the frontline hard work with the community, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christina.
And please come back and see us next week on the No Matter